Well, Kapong is cultural identity. So Kapong is how we basically relate to one another. And once I see you as another Kapong, you're basically seen as a relative. Hi, I'm from Kako. It's a small Akawaio, Kapong, Akawaio community. It it is one of about 11 villages that we have there today. I would have spent about 12 years of my childhood in there before I would have moved to the coast for schooling. It has played a key role in terms of the influence that it has on me now that I am becoming more self or culturally conscious, as I would say, because of course, when you see something as unique, you would want to preserve it because it is not something you always find, right? When I speak or when anybody speaks about cultural preservation, it's just not to say that we want to remain or stay as we are. That is quite impossible for all cultures. Everybody changes, everybody develops, but there are some essential elements that should be maintained, and I think that is where preservation comes in for me.
Can you tell me a little bit more about those essential elements that you think should be preserved as you see it into the future?
For me, first and foremost, language is a must. Language is very essential for a culture, and with the loss of a language, I think that is where culture would begin to really subside, to erode. In fact, for this heritage, I want to emphasize in some key concepts that, of course, are in Akawaio. For example, today I was looking at Tunakwa, which means our water systems, and it could be rivers, it could be rain, and so forth. Tunakwa, right? And then you also have, for example, Parawong. Parawong, for example, is something that really says that you are from a specific area. We are the people from here. That's what Parawong means. So, for example, I can tell you that I'm Parawong from Upper Mazaruni. I'm basically saying that I'm a person that is rooted there, that I'm a person that belongs there, right?
As we celebrate Indigenous Heritage Month, um, two things I want to ask you in terms of current issues. One is with the Deputy Speaker dressing in his Indigenous attire.
He is bringing to the forefront, to the mainstream, something that was literally non-existent to the Guyanese to the Guyanese society. So now seeing this in front of you, I think it triggers a lot of questions as like why now, or it goes against convention, it goes against parliamentary tradition and all of these things. But I must acknowledge and I must applaud him for bringing indigenous presence in that manner, because I think otherwise we would just always be in the background, and I'm sure he's not going to wear that every day because he wants to make that statement, and he wants to pronounce on the fact that indigenous people still have a presence there, and they can be appointed within the governing structure of our country, and not only be a people that they must always cater for, because sometimes we are seen as being receptors of the government's care. On I think that is what it is seen as. Oh, indigenous people, we have to do this for them, this and that. But what can we do for our country as well? And I think that is where Mr. Shuman comes in.
Finally, for you, why Indigenous instead of Amerindian?
You may say that, well, indigenous is also English. I mean, then what if it's not something that comes from indigenous people? But actually, it is a concept that involved the deliberation of global indigenous leaders as to how they want to be referred to within various institutions, legislations, and it also speaks to us having to to identify ourselves differently from other cultures. And I think that is the distinction that speaks to me more as an Indigenous person. What makes me Indigenous, or why do I see myself as an Indigenous person? Yes, we are the first peoples of the country, but although we are the first peoples of the country, we also have maintained that unique culture of ours. We have also maintained our connection to Guyana as a whole, and that is what resonates with me mostly.